I dream of us being an old couple on the south coast of Ireland or something. Just, I remember when we were on Dick Cavett, you know. And being a nice old couple like that.
Wow, we're back. Dick Cavett began in comedy as a writer for some of the greats, Jack Parr, Johnny Carson. But he broke out on his own as the host of the Dick Cavett Show, where he interviewed the likes of Katharine Graham, perhaps Katharine Hepburn, John Lennon, Truman Capote. Today he's sharing his stories in his new book, Talk Show, Confrontations, Pointed Commentary, and Off-Screen Secrets. Welcome, Dick Cavett. Thank you, sir, for joining. I want you to go right now to this interview because it's the 30-year anniversary. Your book's coming out at a good time in terms of...
Yes, it is.
Here's John Lennon and Yoko Ono on the Dick Cavett Show, 1971. When you asked him about the Beatles, let's listen.
Yeah. Do you ever wish it hadn't all happened, John?
Well, I don't regret anything in my life, really, because I've met Yoko and I'm very happy with her. And I feel as though if I didn't go through all that I went through, I wouldn't be with Yoko now. So I don't regret the past. I was just trying to live for this moment.
You know, I used to keep a list, Dick, of my people I looked up to most in the world. I think today people would put politicians up there, some of them. And he was on my list. I don't know about you, but I always put Lennon up there, maybe with a few other people. Some of the other friends, like Norman Mailer, people like that, were up to my top of my list. Guys, what was it like to have these guys in your world every night? These sort of major figures.
Well, it was a dream that a boy from Nebraska didn't even dream when he was out in Nebraska, worshiping Bob Hope, who came to Lincoln, and I said, fine show, Bob, and he said, thank you, son, and I told all my friends I'd been chatting with Bob Hope the night before. I wanted to go east with them. An announcer in Lincoln said to me one day on a kids' radio show I was on, I'm old. I didn't get very far, he said, but you're going to get up and out of here the way Johnny did. It was sort of poignant. And I never...
You know, I met Bob Hope one time when Tip O'Neill retired, and I was his AA, and we're in the men's room at the Capitol Hilton, the Washington Hilton, and down about 4 urinals from me was Bob Hope. And he gave me a wink because he knew that I'd tell that story someday, because it's one of those manly experiences when you're in the same place together doing the same thing. It was a riot. But you got him to say what?
Well, Hope, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got him to say a lot of things. When he came on with one of his books once, he said, hey, you know, I printed on flypaper. So that once people put it down, they can't put it down. And but you don't want to write a book which once you put it down, you can't pick it up. And but I got Hope to talk once as a person, not to do gags. And right in the middle of one, I said, why do you have that scar on your lip? And he explained that he was defending his dog when he was a kid. And he felt a little funny about just talking and said, hey, you want to have a gag on that? And I said, no, hearing you talk is fun.
Quickly, because I want to get to Nixon here and how he went after you. But that Bob Hope thing really opened up. I've heard that Hope never opened up, that he would sit on shows like this. It was all performance. And he was one of those guys you cannot get to as a human being. Was that true?
No. In fact, I did on this one show that I don't want to make another plug here that's on a DVD of mine called Comic Greats. But I did on that, and he said that it really rattled him because his wife, Dolores, said that's the best you ever were on television. You talked like a human being. And he said, I don't know what she thought I was up to that point.
Yeah, he never wanted to do that. Let's take a look at Nixon. Nixon went after you. Here he is speaking to the guy, his #1 henchman. And I worked on a book on Nixon. I wrote it. And I noticed one thing. Whenever he was with Bob Haldeman, he was not good.
You had the sense of a cauldron boiling between them.
These guys were not good chemistry. Here he is talking about you. Let's listen.
What the hell is Kennedy? Oh, Chris, he's terrible. He's impossible. He roasts every program. Automatically, he'll nothing you can do about it. We've complained bitterly about the Cavett Show. Is there any way we can screw it? That's what I mean. There must be ways. We've been trying to.
Well, what was that like? Did you know you were under surveillance by H.R. Bob Haldeman and Chuck Colson and the whole band of these guys?
I had a couple hints that I was once when they put a guest on the show forcibly about the SST, but that's another matter. But, Chris, it's spooky to hear the leader of the free world and most powerful man in America say in his witty way How can we screw him? You know, I mean, to be chastised by the great unindicted co-conspirator is also a strange kind of thrill for a boy from Nebraska.
Okay,
I referred to Haldeman in the piece in the book as Nixon's lickspittle. It's okay to say that because it's a Shakespeare word, and so you'll answer the letters to that.
Dick Cavett, the name of your book is Talk Show. I want to ask you one. You used to have the greatest debates in the world on yours. I wish I knew how to set them up. You had like Norman Mailer, Truman Capote. You had these people going after each other's machismo or lack thereof. You had graphic comments like "stick that where the sun doesn't shine." I think that was your line once.
Well, now let me presume to correct you. The correct wording of that, and I don't know where it came from, was when he annoyed me. So I finally just said, when he said, "Read the next question off the sheet," and I said, "Why don't you fold it 5 ways and put it where the moon don't shine?" It's got to be the moon, and it's got to be put it, because stick it would be vulgar.
Well, I want to ask you this. What has changed in talk since you did it?
There's much more of it. It seems to me that, like so many things in America, the quality has diminished. There are some fine people. 2 of them were mentioned earlier by a previous guest. Colbert and Stewart, of course. But since I know them all, it's difficult to talk to them. You know, I feel funny being on with you, because I once said to a member of the Chicago 7 who said to me, "You've got to do nothing but politics, Cavett." And I said, "Politics bores my ass off." And got the biggest laugh.
What time is our show on? What time's our show on every night? What time's Hardball come on in New York, where you live? What time's it come on?
It comes on twice, in fact, in New York. And I always watch it both times, and then TiVo it and watch it again in the morning.
You're a great man, Dick Cavett.
It's on in New York, is it?
Every night, you know it is. You're just teasing me. Thank you so much. 5 and 7 in New York and everywhere in the East Coast. Anyway, the book is called Talk Show, a great book about a great guy by a great guy.
Yeah,
Dick
we wanted
Cavett.
to call it Chicken Crap, but they wouldn't accept it.
Better title.